Good morning. Thanks everybody for hopping on today. We know when you guys have projects and different things that you're working on, taking some time to get on a webinar is not always the easiest to do. So appreciate everybody who hopped on today for your time, and hopefully this can be an exciting webinar for you. So as I mentioned, today we're here with Alta Labs. Alta Labs is a relatively new company in the networking space. We were founded in 2022, but we all have quite a bit of experience in the space. So everybody here has been in the networking arena for quite some time. So new company, but a lot of experience here, specifically on the engineering side as well, with our team that's developing our router that's coming up, as well as the current GUI that we have for the cloud controller. So why Alta Labs? A couple things that we really want to hit on at the very beginning is number one is the reliability of our product. We are very focused on making a super reliable product, both from a hardware perspective, from one that's going to be reliable, robust, comes with a good warranty, one that you can install at your customers' projects and know that it's going to function properly. And then also on the cloud perspective as well. We have a really strong team that works on developing the firmware to make sure that it's going to be as bug-free as possible. And if we do find things, we want to fix it very, very quickly. We just want to make sure that we aren't going to be the ones that are causing issues for you and your customers' networks. Another big one is the support that we offer from real people. So we have a couple different ways to get support. You can email in, which is pretty typical. We have chat support as well. But for customers who really have a preference for doing phone calls, we're actually able to accommodate that too. And so we have a support line that you can call into. You can talk with real engineers and technicians who can actually walk you through and help you to troubleshoot and solve any problems that you guys have come up with. And that is all available at no cost. As far as performance, we'll get into a few slides that really show the product performance, but this has been one where people who have given Alta Labs a try have been really, really happy. And I'll show you some links later on as well on our forum where people are actually posting their own stories. People have seen really, really great performance increases. We've done a number of installs, just rip and replaces, where we've taken out 15 APs here, 20 APs here, 25 APs here, and we've replaced them with the exact same number of Alta APs. And in every single scenario where we've done that, there's been a massive increase in coverage. So when we look at the heat maps, we see a really significant increase in places in the project that are now covered, and then also speed. So the performance is top tier. We have a number of free training resources. We have some videos, we have different knowledge-based articles, and those are, like I said, 100% free. And some of them are focused on Alta, like how to use our specific products. But some of them are also just focused on kind of networking best practices, making sure that you're doing everything you can to make sure your networks are secure as possible. And so we'll continue to build that out. And we're also working on building out an actual certification and training platform. So you'll be able to go on, do some courses, and then receive an actual certification from Alta. We're also very channel friendly. We recognize that it's important not just for us, not just for the distributors, but also for our installers to make some margin, some profit on installing these products. And so we build in a strong margin structure for everybody along the way to make sure that everybody's going to be able to profit from installing Alta Labs on their projects. We have a number of resources, like I mentioned previously. One of the best ones is forum.alta.inc, and I'll show you that in a bit. But there's a number of different places or things that you can do on that forum. We have different sections, one for APs, one for switches. We have some for new products that are coming out, and then also the stories section. But that's a really good place to kind of check out and see not what Alta is saying about our products, but what other actual customers are saying too. So you can see how other people are using it. And then you can also just see that it's always good when somebody else is showing the success that they're having with Alta, not just the vendor. So that's a good place to go and see some of those stories. Jumping into the actual products, we'll go over a couple SKUs that we have currently. So currently we have two APs that we have launched. We have the AP6 and the AP6 Pro. The AP6 is our standard offering, but it is a really good performer still. It's a full Wi-Fi 6 AP. Its MSRP is 139 USD, and it's a really high performer, one that would probably be considered like a pro version from some other vendors when we've tested it against them. Our flagship AP is really the AP6 Pro. One of the really unique things about this one, both of these APs have Qualcomm chipsets in them. We work really closely with Qualcomm to develop those. And one of the really cool things about the AP6 Pro is Qualcomm actually let us build in one of their Wi-Fi 7 features to our Wi-Fi 6 AP. So I believe from everything we know, we're the only AP that has this in it. It's called 4K QAM. And so basically what that does is you do need a newer device, one that's capable of these speeds. But in wireless to wireless connections, we're seeing up to 6.3 gigs per second. So it's a super, super, super fast AP. And again, like I said, you do need some newer devices, but as more people start buying newer iPhones, newer tablets, newer Androids, newer laptops, things like that, even TVs, those will start to be able to be capable of some of these speeds. And so customers will really be able to take advantage of it. Another thing to note on this is we do have a proprietary antenna array inside. And so all like the PCB board, everything is custom to us. None of it is just OEM'd off the shelf from the manufacturer. Everything is ours, our own design. And so we were able to have a really specific antenna design that outperforms APs by over 30% on throughput in many cases. The AP6 Pro is also IP54 rated. Our AP6 does not have an IP rating. IP54 can definitely be installed outdoors. We have a number of them actually that are installed just like fully outdoors, not even under an awning or anything. But we do recommend to install the AP6 Pro underneath some sort of eave. And we'll get to our outdoor unit in a little bit. Our 8-port switch is the first of our 3 switches. We have an 8-port, a 16-port, and a 24-port switch. We do, as with the APs actually do this as well, but our APs and our switches all have Bluetooth for a really seamless setup. And I know that that's not necessarily new in the Wi-Fi space, but it is known to not work super well with other vendors. And so with ours, it's very reliable. Once you bring a device onto an existing network, the Bluetooth allows it to set up super quickly. It'll populate in our GUI and you'll just see a button that says set up and you click it and the AP's online. So it's very, very quick. The 8-port switch, the first 4 ports are PoE Plus enabled, and it has a PoE budget of 60 watts. One thing I'll mention on the PoE budgets for all the switches, when we were kind of speccing these out initially, when we were looking to get them manufactured, we were gathering some feedback. And one of the things that we kept on hearing was a lot of vendors were releasing new switches, but they were increasing the price on those switches and they were decreasing the PoE budget. And so that was a big request, I guess you could say, that we had, was making sure that our PoE budgets were really healthy and that we're really going to provide enough PoE to power devices like cameras and other things that people are installing on most of the jobs right now. So we wanted to make sure that 60 watts on that is pretty standard. But once we get into the 16-port, that has 120 watts, and the first 8 ports are PoE Plus. Again, also has Bluetooth to help you set it up. And this one also has 2 SFP ports that are 1 gig. And then on our 24-port switch, rather than just the first half, it's actually the first 16 ports are PoE Plus enabled, and it has a PoE budget of 240 watts. So pretty solid there. And then you can see the SFP Plus ports on the side. Those are 10 gig. One thing to note too is you can see there's a lot of venting on these switches. We really wanted to make sure that they run cool and that they run quiet. One thing that you can note over on the right-hand side, you see those SFP Plus ports. You'll typically see those from other vendors stacked. That is a little less expensive way to manufacture the switch, but that actually leads to a significant increase in heat. So you'll see that we put them side by side and then provided vents there for each of them. That way we can really get this switch running just as cool as possible. As far as, so those are the current SKUs that we have right now, the 2 APs and 3 switches. We also have PoE injectors, which are not pictured here, but those are also currently available. And then we really wanted to highlight what's coming for 2024 and kind of beyond. One other, I guess you could say, product that we have, while not a physical piece of hardware, we do also have our local controller Docker image. So that was a request that we had. Currently, our cloud controller is built into the APs so that people can use that for free. There's no additional piece of hardware that you need to purchase to use the cloud. But we did have some requests for a local controller for specific projects. So we offer 2 different options there. The first one, like I said, is out currently, and that's the Docker image. So you're able to download that and then self-host if you prefer. And then we have a piece of hardware that's coming out later this month in a week or 2 that I can show you. So the outdoor AP is shipping in the next couple of days from, or next week or so probably, from our warehouse. This is a product that we're super excited about. It is a little bit larger in both width and height than the AP6 Pro, but it's generally the same form factor. You can see there on the image on the left, you can see the mount there. The mount is built into the heatsink. It has a really heavy-duty heatsink, and one of the reasons why it's a little bit wider is we wanted to get those antennas out and away from that mount to make sure that it was going to have a really solid radiation pattern. And then another reason also for that size is because of the gasket that we used for its IP rating. It is IP68 rated, and we actually do get these certified too. So it does actually have a legitimate IP68 rating. And then it's a Wi-Fi 6 outdoor AP. Most of the outdoor APs currently on the market are only Wi-Fi 5. And so this is going to be Wi-Fi 6, IP68 rated, and it's going to come in with an MSRP of $199. So for what it is, it's a really solid, really aggressive price point. And then one other cool thing to note too, you can see down on the bottom, the black gland down there. It has a ribbon cable that goes from that gland to the PCB board. So you just really need to terminate right there. You don't need to actually take it up all the way in and do anything funky with connecting it. And then the thermal specs on this, as well as the speed throughput, is all equal to or greater than the AP6 Pro. And all of the mount kit and kind of things that you need, zip ties, things like that to mount it are all included. The other big thing that's coming in the next 2 weeks probably is the on-premise controller. This is the actual physical hardware piece. And so, like I said, this was one that we had some requests for. So we listened to customer feedback here, and we're releasing this product. You're going to be able to manage between 500 and 1,000 Alta devices on this, and you can really do any number of sites. So it doesn't have a limit for sites. It's just kind of however many devices fall into those sites. So if you had one site with 1,000 devices, you'd only be able to manage one site. If you had 1,000 sites with one device, you'd be able to manage 1,000 sites. It does have a single power supply and a 1 gig port, and then it will have an optional rack mount sold separately. The image is black here, but that's just for some contrast. This will more than likely be white. This is a product that we're super excited for, and one that this is probably the most requested product from us. A lot of guys are really looking forward to being able to offer an Alta Labs full solution. So router, APs, switches, kind of everything. And this is one where we're super excited about the development of this as well. If you're familiar with pfSense, we actually brought on one of the founders of pfSense, and so he's in charge of our routing division. And he's been working really hard on this project since about December. But this is going to release in July. And so this is a 10 gig router. It's going to have 4 2.5 gig ports, and it's going to be MSRPing at $199. So very, very aggressive for a 10 gig router. Other 10 gig routers in the market are $400 to $600. So price point on this is really aggressive, and we're, like I said, demand for this has been really high, so we're excited to get this out. For kind of the rest of 2024, and then probably pushing in realistically into 2025 Q1, we will have, it's not listed here, this is kind of a newer development, but we're actually going to be releasing an in-wall AP. That's going to have a built-in switch. We're hoping to get that to market actually in Q3. Could potentially push into Q4, but then in Q4 we'll have a 48-port switch, Wi-Fi 7 AP, and then we'll also be releasing an aggregate switch as well. So I think you can see from 2023 where we had 2 APs and 3 switches into 2024, there's going to be a significant increase in products. So we know that that's kind of one of the biggest, if you want to call it a knock against Alta currently, is people, they're really liking the products, they really like the APs, really like the switches, but some of them have needed a little bit more of a larger product mix, so that they could really jump in and start using us on more of their projects. I think this is going to be the year where we really fill that and help our customers be able to install Alta really on any project. So wanted to talk about a specific case study that we've done so you can see how Alta helps give these guys an advantage on this project. This is at the University of Notre Dame. There's a student housing complex there called The Hill, and previously we can jump into this really quickly. Previously they had an AP in every single room or individual apartment there. So you can see they have all of these different SSIDs, and they were able to use something called Alta Pass. This is patented. This is our multi-password technology. So what they were able to do is they were able to replace all of the existing APs there. There were 68 total apartments there, so each one of those got a new AP, and then there were 4 other kind of common use APs throughout the building, right? Like one in the lobby, things like that. And rather than having each one of those apartments have their own SSID that the student kind of chooses whatever that's going to be, that just creates a lot of RF. It messes with the RF environment. It just makes things messy. If you are on the first floor and you go to your friend's house on the second or third floor, you no longer have Wi-Fi. And so what we were able to do is we were able to just reduce that all down to just one single SSID. And so each person there still has their own password, but there is one SSID associated with it. So based on the password that they use, they can also have a different permission set also. And this is key if you're doing some upselling for customers. Maybe there's like a standard Wi-Fi package for residents there, but there's a customer who really likes to game, so they're willing to pay a little bit more for a better internet package. Then based on the password that they have, they can have more bandwidth. So there are a lot of different unique opportunities here, and then it just makes a better experience for the user as well. One other thing I want to do is show this video here. This is kind of a newer thing that we're working on and one that we're pretty excited about. There's something called carrier offload, and this video will describe that a little bit. But afterwards, I can dive into this a little bit more.
I don't know about the other guys, Philip, but I'm not getting any audio from that video.
Sorry, did I just hear you guys aren't getting any audio?
Yeah, nothing's coming through for me. I don't know about the Epcom guys, but I'm not hearing anything.
Yeah, I think we're not gonna have audio on this video, but if you want to turn on your speakers, I think that will grab some audio. But at the moment, I think it's not sending it through the presentation.
Gotcha. Okay, maybe let's forego the video then. And I can just explain, kind of give you guys a walkthrough what it is. So for the guys here who aren't familiar with carrier offload, basically what some of the big telecoms are doing, AT&T, Verizon, those guys, they're rather than continuing to put up more and more cell towers, they're actually starting to leverage Wi-Fi networks and use those as basically repeaters. And so what we're able to do is we're able to work with a company who has some relationships with these telecoms. And basically, if you enable a carrier to use your APs for phone conversations or for like texting or things like that, they'll actually give you a little bit of a rebate. So we have a couple of these kind of in trial. It's definitely going to be location specific, but we have like one of our employees, for example, he lives in Georgia, in Atlanta, and so really central downtown location. He just has an AP right hanging off of his balcony, and I think he's so far in kickbacks he's gotten about $800 in, or I guess not in kickback, but in payments from the telcos, he's got about $800 in 2 weeks. So there's going to be certain venues, certain locations, maybe restaurants or just really good locations like that there's going to be the opportunity for a significant amount of money, of revenue to come in through this. So there's a couple different ways that some guys are looking at leveraging this. One is where the actual installer is able to kind of make some money there, and another one is for the actual end user to make some money. And so that's going to kind of be business model specific. But that is just another really unique thing that we're kind of at the front edge of, and we've started to develop some different relationships here. There'll be some more announcements on this. This video that unfortunately, sorry, aren't able to see right now, but this is currently it's a private video on our YouTube, but it'll be going live shortly, so you guys will be able to see this there. We'll repost it on our socials like LinkedIn and other places. But this is something that we really want to hit hard, as it's a way to just increase revenue streams for our installers. So kind of more information to come on the carrier offload, but this is a really exciting opportunity. Right now, we're going to hop in. I believe you can see my screen. I want to show you the controller as well. If somebody from the Epcom team, can you just confirm that you can see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Perfect.
Everything's
okay. Thanks. I don't want to do an entire overview of the controller, but I did want to highlight a couple things. You're able to log in via email or password or use single sign-on. I'll just do that really quickly. And then, so this is the dashboard that you come to. Oh, funny. Huh. Hold on. Let me log in differently. Let's do it like this. Sorry, we were messing around with some permissions, and looks like it's having some difficulty there really quickly. Let me hop over to the forum, as this is something else that I wanted to show you really quickly. When we were talking about the heat maps, one of the things that I wanted to show you was actually a project from one of our UK-based installers. They were doing some work on, I think they categorize their installs there differently. But it's this one right here. It's like an old historic building, and it has a lot of just brick. It's called Isaac's on the Keys, or on the Key, I guess as they pronounce it. But it's an old marina. It's kind of like a port, and in the 1800s it was used for lots of shipping. You can see here they tried to revitalize this area in their town. So now there's gone in a bunch of shops and like a bar, pub, and a restaurants and things like that. And this has been a really tricky Wi-Fi install for them. They've tried a couple different vendors over the years. It's just a really challenging building with the way that it's constructed. And so there's some pictures you can kind of see, lots of stone, lots of just difficult things. This is the floor plan. It's a number of different floors, and this is the initial Wi-Fi survey that you can see. So kind of this far left image right here, this correlates to this one. But when they did the new install, you can see just the difference in the heat map coverage. So there, you can see it on one screen now. So they were able to have a significant increase in coverage, and this is the exact same number of APs from a different vendor that they ripped out and just put in ours. So you can see there's a pretty big increase there. And so this has been very typical of what we've seen in all the different case studies that we've done. Just the same number of APs, a significant performance increase. One of the other thing I was mentioning on the Alta Pass, it looks like I'm not able to actually show the controller right now. I apologize for that. But I wanted to run back to Alta Pass really quickly, as that's one of the biggest features that we offer that's patented, like I said. But there is something called PPSK, if you're familiar with that, and that does allow you to have a single SSID, but then have multiple passwords associated with it. But one of the really unique things about AltaPass is you can have those multiple passwords with that single SSID, but that password also allows you to rate limit. It allows you to bypass a hotspot, like for an employee at a cafe maybe. It allows you to bypass content filters. One interesting request that we had actually from a distributor that we work with in Europe. They said that their sales team was spending a lot of time on YouTube, and so what they did actually was on their work SSID, they gave the sales team a different password than they were giving the marketing team. And the sales team's password had a content filter on it for YouTube and TikTok and some other social media sites. But their marketing team, for example, needed to be able to have access to those so that they could work, which I just thought was an interesting use case of it. But that feature alone has been one where it also does allow you to bypass the Wi-Fi scheduler. You can also assign a VLAN based on password. But that feature alone has been one that once guys really sit down and use it, they use a single SSID for their entire install. They no longer have to have a guest network. They no longer have to have an IoT network. They can just have kind of your standard network with multiple passwords. It's been one where guys are like, why hasn't it been done this way all along? We've done quite a few installs with AV guys in the custom install space. So guys who are doing, they're installing like a home theater, distributed audio throughout the home. And a big request there is just the parental controls. And so what they're able to do is they're able to have two different passwords, one for parents and then one for the kids in the home. And they're able to have a Wi-Fi scheduler turned on for the kids where the Wi-Fi turns off at 8 or 9 p.m., but the parents can bypass that based on password. So just a number of things we can do there. And then we also do offer hotspot, obviously, for businesses, for cafes, restaurants, things like that. And then one actually cool thing to note on that is we had a specific request about how we did notifications, and that actually came in on our forum that I showed you guys. And within about 24 hours, the feature had been implemented. So we're super responsive on getting things addressed. We really want to make sure that the solution is tailored to the guys who are actually installing it. So to that point, we're responsive. We have a lot of communication. I know that Tony is the main point of contact for EPCOM and for you guys, but I'll show you his email in a minute. He's very willing. I'm very willing to hop on calls, hop on, screen share if you have questions about things. But we just really want to be there for our customers and make sure that you guys have the best experience possible. So with that said, kind of the last thing I want to show you is the starter pack, or the starter bundle and the launch packs that we have. So we have two different kind of promos that we're offering currently. The first one is the starter pack, which is 2 AP6 Pros and an 8-port switch. And then the second one is 2 AP6 Pros and an 8-port switch. And so kind of depending on what you would like to try out, you're able to get those at a heavily discounted rate. So that you can bring the equipment home, you can actually test it out, see the functionality for yourself, and then even potentially use one of these starter bundles to install on a project to test out. Down there below, you can also see Tony's contact. So it's Tony at Alta.inc, or our general sales, which is sales@alta.inc. And then I know EPCOM's been monitoring the chat, but just wanted to open it up for some Q&A and answer any questions that you guys have.
Thank you so much,
Philip.
Yeah,
go ahead, Melissa.
Thank you for the valuable information presented to us today. Please feel free to use the panel on your right-hand side to submit any questions you have about these products. And also remember, if you stayed until the end of this webinar, you have an opportunity to win an AP6. So please send us all your questions using the panel on your right-hand side.
So if you have any questions, you can send it through the question panel, or also you can raise your hand and we can open your mic. And if not, well, you have the emails for Tony and Philip on your screen. And you can always also send us a question at support@epcom.net. And as Philip was mentioning, the prices for the starter pack, those are available at EPCOM, and we do have stock. So please, if you want to try these products, just contact your sales rep, and they will be happy to help you. We have a question from David. Where do we order this through? Well, you can always log into epcom.net, and directly you can buy on our shopping cart, and you just need your Epcom account. So if you need information with your Epcom account, please contact your sales rep. They will be happy to help you reset your password or help you with anything else you need to purchase these starter packs. We have another question from Mr. Brian. Do you have, this is a question for Philip. Do you guys have a firmware option that will not allow a reset? Basically, just locking up the AP to a specific user.
Sorry, so here, let me actually see if I can. I don't think I can see the questions. Sorry, so you're asking if we can just is this auto firmware updates?
It is a firmware option that will not allow a reset. Basically, just locking the AP to a specific user.
Oh yeah, I mean you could basically just give only one person permissions to make changes to that. So yeah, only you'd be able to go in and do firmware updates and things like that.
Awesome, thanks so much.
Let me actually
go ahead.
I wanted to try just one more thing, and just so I can show you. I think I should actually be able to. I won't be able to have any traffic, but I could show you some settings actually really quickly. Are you guys still able to see this?
Yes.
So yeah, basically, this is where you would have the different users for the site. And so you'd be able to have all the notifications turned on for just one person. You'd be able to have all the permissions here. And then you can basically, based on different settings, some people you just want to have view only, some people you want to be able to actually make changes to it. You can just change the permissions and right in here in the users category.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Were there any other questions?
That was the last question. Well, if someone else wants to send a question while we do the raffle, please send it through the question panel, or you can always raise your hand. All right, so let's start with the raffle. So we're just gonna pick one of whoever attended the webinar and stay up until the end. So thank you so much for staying up until the end of the webinar. And all right, so we're gonna spin the wheel and we're gonna go 3 times or let's do two times, just 2 times, so it will be faster. The first one, this is not the winner, but let's check if they're still online. Maria Fernanda Abreu, yes. So thank you so much for participating, and we're gonna be continue doing raffles as well as giveaways. So please stay on tune with the newest webinars with Alta Labs. So the winner for this AP6 will be Mr. Mark Olivares. So let's check if he's still online. Mark Olivares, yes, you're still online. So Mr. Mark, thank you so much for joining into this webinar. We'll get in touch with you, and then we'll contact you just to send you the AP6. The only requirement for this new AP6 is you can send us a video with the AP6. If you can run some tests and let us know what do you think about the product, and we'll be happy to. This is a free gift from Epcom and Alta Labs. So, well, thank you so much, everyone, for attending this webinar. And we want to thank Phil as well as Matt for your time this morning. I don't know if you want to add anything else, Phil.
No, just thank you very much for hopping on today. If there are any questions that arise in the future, definitely reach out to us at sales@alta.inc. We're happy to address any questions that you have, whether that's product, firmware, questions about future releases or products, things like that. We definitely want to be available to answer any questions that you have. So definitely don't hesitate to reach out.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Philip. And thanks so much, Matt, for your help this morning, as well with Celeste. So thank you, everyone. We wish you a great day, and we hope to see you on our next sessions. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.